Welcome to the Ska History Hour with your hosts, Jose Rojas
Hello.
and myself, Daryl Rubio, wherein the purpose of this channel is to spread awareness of ska music and its subgenres to the world. Our guests today are members of the Prizefighters from Minneapolis, Minnesota, boss sounds from the Twin Towns. We appreciate you taking the time to speak with us, to share your stories and your music with the ska community. Can you please tell us your name, your role in the band, and a little bit about yourselves?
I'll go first. Hey, everybody, and Daryl and Jose, thank you for having us on the show.
Hey, thank you for
Yes,
coming.
yeah, it's great to spread the word of ska out there. That's something I try to do every day, so it's great to see more and more people do it. So big up yourselves. So yeah, my name is Aaron. I play in the Prizefighters. I play guitar and I sing. I've been a lifelong, well, not lifelong ska fan, but the majority of my life has been colored with the sweet sounds of ska music. And I love playing it. I love talking about it. So I'm looking forward to a good discussion today.
Right on.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I'm Courtney. I play saxophone and do a little bit of singing, a little bit of tambourine playing, depending on the tune. I and yeah, I've
And
been
merch
playing.
and band management. Like Courtney has a lot of hats that he doesn't like to show off. He wears, but Courtney's a badass.
ska ska dad. Yeah, merch impresario. No, and I don't know. I've loved ska since, I've heard it back when I was in or middle school, and every band I've ever been in since the mid 90s has been a ska or ska adjacent band. So, yeah, I'm down to talk anything about ska.
all right.
Yeah, I'm Jordan. I am the bass player in the band, do a little bit of singing as well. And I guess, yeah, I started listening to ska music at about the time Aaron started listening to ska music.
You had
uh,
no choice.
yeah, I'm I'm the little brother here, so yeah, absorbed it through him, and yeah, it worked
Like
out
like
pretty well.
literal? You're literally brothers?
Yeah,
Okay.
Literally.
Are you guys like against separate walls right now or something? Or you guys live separately?
no, we're in different, we're in whole different counties.
Oh, really? Okay.
I mean, like not very far away, but yeah.
Yeah.
He's a
Right on,
Minneapolis
guys.
kid. I'm in
Good to
St.
have you. Good to have you.
So,
Yeah, thanks.
I like to ask the horn section if they were ever in this high school band.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's where I got my start
Yeah.
I started in middle school,
Okay.
playing alto and tenor sax and played in the jazz band and played in marching band and wind symphony in high school. And my parents, when I was in middle school, they bought me my own tenor saxophone. And out of like obligation to them, I was like, I have to continue to play this. And so I played it through high school. And then I went to college and I'm like, I have to keep playing this somehow. So I went to the University of Minnesota and joined the marching band there.
Oh,
And eventually I realized I'm like, I'm not playing saxophone because my parents bought me this saxophone. I'm playing it because it's awesome. It's fun and I like it. It just took me like close to a decade to realize that.
oh, that's cool. You stuck with it though.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Definitely a band nerd for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we would not be as good of a band if Courtney stopped playing saxophone and it was just up there being like, doo 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 doo. I mean, it would be cool, but he's a hell of a sax player. So thank you for sticking with it, Courtney.
You're welcome.
What
And
about the rest of the brass section?
yeah, he's not the only marching band nerd.
Okay.
I was in high school marching band as well,
Oh,
playing sousaphone.
really?
Cool.
Yeah, I went through
Bass,
the whole
bass
gamut of
for those with a heavy lung capacity.
yeah. Back when I had a much heavier lung capacity. Yeah, like I made my way through the ranks. I did like trumpet, baritone, euphonium, tuba, uh, then marching tuba. So
Wow, nice.
yeah,
Yeah, our
I did
trombone.
not continue on in college doing that. I was
No.
like, I'm done.
Our
Yeah, I
trombone
think
player though, Tony, he did. He went to the U of M as well, and I think he majored in like trombone performance or something like that. He So yeah, we had a bunch of band nerds here.
nice, nice. I think a tuba player, marching tuba player, is like a real one out there.
Keeping it
Yeah, for
real.
real.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it got pretty sweaty. That's
I
for sure.
bet.
Do you guys ever get any type of those whiplash moments like that movie?
I was never good enough to come close to having anything like that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, our band director never would throw things. What he would do
Yeah,
is
cymbals
like,
are
you know,
expensive.
when he lost when he lost control of like the band, he would just stand up at the front and he would take his baton, he just put it in his mouth.
Oh,
And he would just like a dog with a bone. He's just like, I there's nothing else I can do. It's pretty silly.
that's funny.
Because you
Yeah.
guys are so good or so bad?
So no, it's just like I have no control of what's happening in this room, so you know, I'm just gonna let them, let the inmates run the asylum for the
You're right.
moment.
Cool.
Now, I see that your band started in 2006. Can you please tell us about how your band came together?
Sure. So Jordan and I are the two longest serving members, the two original members of the group. Well, no, Matt too.
Yeah.
He left the group for a number of years and is back again. But so Jordan, Matt, and I, and our friend Josh Thomas, who was the first saxophone player in the band, we're all in a ska punk band called Gilbots, which is an acronym for Get Your Lazy Butt Off the Sofa. And that was Jordan's band that he started in like eighth grade.
Yep.
Um,
Hence the
wow.
name.
Hence a lot of things about that
Yeah.
band. So we were playing shows, and we were kind of we started out as like more of like an Op Ivy inspired ska punk band, but then as we stayed the course and grew in our musical tastes, we were more of a ska punk band in the way that maybe Bad Brains were getting a little moving more towards that direction, where it was either punk songs or ska or reggae songs. So it was like it felt like a little bit straddling a couple different worlds, like two kind of bands. That's how I felt a little bit, because we would play some punk shows, and it's like, well, we're not just gonna play the punk songs, we're gonna play some ska songs, and that felt out of place. Or we do like reggae shows, and then like having some punk stuff. It's like this feels a little bit off. And I think that doesn't mean there wasn't a place for it, but it's just knowing that my love of especially the Jamaican side of things, that was just growing and growing. The more that I listened to it, the more that I dug into it. So I wanted to start a band, or I wanted to uh, have more bands like that. And being a musician myself and having other musicians that played music with me and played ska and liked ska, it was kind of just, it happened because we were already just playing together, and I started writing some songs in like 2004 2005, and even recorded some of them myself, or with some friends doing all the multi-track stuff, and started playing them with my roommate Tim at the time. We were college roommates and had a basement in the house. He's a drummer, and had my gear down there too. And it was like, hey, let's jam on something. And I have some songs. Let's jam on these. And because the Gilbots rehearsed down there too, it was kind of a natural thing that we'd be like, hey, let's play these songs together with this new lineup. So it was Tim on drums, me on guitar, Jordan on keys, and then Matt on bass. So it started as a 4-piece. Josh moved in with us. He's a high school buddy of Jordan and mine. He was in punk bands, and Jordan was in a ska band with him called Los Coleros. And
Yeah.
Los
and
culeros.
and then so we got a sax player, and as we were working on more songs, we played we played our first gig as a 4-piece, maybe like the first, I don't know, year, half a year or something like that. Played our first shows in spring of 2006, and then we got a trumpet player, and then Whitney Olsen on keys. She was dating Matt at the time, and she was also big into reggae, but she was also classically trained on piano. And Jordan was, well, Jordan, you kind of tell
Big improvement on me because I don't actually know how to play piano. I was making like sort of like T-Rex chords. Just sort of been like, oh, I just want to be a part of this. So I'll do whatever. So yeah. So then when she joined, I moved on to guitar and doing like the lead guitar stick bass stuff. And yeah, but much better at that.
Now you play the bass.
Now I play the bass.
Yeah, you and Matt switch spots now.
Yeah. Well,
Matt
bass
plays.
is my first and primary instrument. So yeah. So then when Matt left, I eventually took over on bass, and yeah, and here we are.
Now you're slapping the bass.
So yeah,
If you ever catch me slapping the bass, just leave the show. Leave. It's over at that point.
Oh man, I can imagine Kevin getting one of the slap bass patches, like pulling it up on the Nord and playing that and being like, Jordan, stop it.
So where does the name the Prizefighters come from?
You know the song Dance Crasher by Alton Ellis and the Flames?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, Dance Crasher, whoa, oh, oh, oh. There's one in it that's be a champion, be a gentleman like Mr. Bunny Grant. Bunny Grant was like a welterweight boxer in Jamaica, and the 64, 65 had a number of titles on his belt. So he was a big deal at that time. So there's also that line of be a prize fighter instead of a dance crasher. At the end, like be a prize fighter instead of a dance crasher. And I love that song, and that notion of like you can be a tough guy, but you don't need to beat up on people who aren't tough people. You know, be a tough guy, beat up on other tough guys. Use your violence toward constructive aims. I just like that whole vibe, and it seemed like a pretty cool name, and it wasn't taken. There's been a few other groups since then. There's like a group called Prizefighter and the Prizefighter Inferno. I was considering the name Prizefighter at first, but I'm glad that I didn't pick that because I think the Prizefighters is a lot cooler name.
Yeah,
That's definitely cool.
So the releases that we know so far that you guys have, 2010, Follow My Sound. 2019, I guess there was a little gap in between there when you released Firewalk. A cassette in 2020 of Get Ready. I think that's some exclusive to Jump Up. And then your most recent Punch Up.
As far as full length studio albums, yeah, we did a number of other releases, like singles and things like that.
Yeah.
In that period between the first two records, so we did 2013, somewhere 2013, we released a series of 3 45s that we called the musical knockout in 3 rounds.
Okay, that's cool.
And then we did 2014, 2015, we did 3 records with Charlie Organaire and had those 45s released, and then had those on all those 12 songs on a European tour only CD. So that's out there as sort of it's not an unofficial release, but it's sort of an overlooked release because it's technically a compilation of previously released singles material.
Yeah, that stuff is out on Spotify and out on all the music platforms. So you can stream it.
Cool.
Got it. Now that was the question for that was basically well, that was just giving you guys a rundown, or the viewers a rundown on your releases. Now, what bands did you first hear about? Each of you first hear about when learning about the ska genre.
Oh.
Good question. I mean, I got into it like 96, 97, because I was into skateboarding, and that was a pretty big crossover between punk and ska and skateboarding and stuff. So as far as like me learning about, I'd heard ska, I remember hearing Sublime on the radio and really liking it. in like '94, because like Date Rape was that single, and I thought it was really cool. Shout out Dub Robot, uh, Brian Wallace playing sax, doing the horns on that record,
Mhm.
um, which I learned kind of recently, which is pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, the I didn't know that ska was the thing, but it's some of the first bands I would probably was aware of doing that would have been Less Than Jake. I had a friend who was into them because his older sister was a fan. And like when he was in third grade, they his family took a trip to Florida for spring break, and when Les and Jake was playing, so she was like, "Yeah, can we go?" So their dad took them to the show, and so he's in third grade seeing Les and Jake, and probably like '94 in Florida, pretty cool. Yeah, had a tape, um, but yeah, I mean at that point it was and Out Come the Wolves had been released,
Mhm.
and that was yeah. Then there was yeah, some other stuff like that was kind of more easily accessible. But and the band that really hooked me though, like into like a ska for life thing, I was just thinking about this the other day, was when I like tail end of sixth grade, I picked up the Energy CD by Operation Ivy, and that was just like a
Mhm.
it made a lot of things make sense to me. Just the energy of it, and no pun intended, but just the everything about it, because it was a cool iconography, and it really was this it presented this different world from the world that I was into, or the mainstream world that I was growing increasingly disillusioned with as I entered my adolescence. And just the that coupled with skateboarding, like I was playing little league baseball and started skateboarding when I was in fifth grade, and then I was like, man, this coach is telling me what to do. He's telling me not to steal a base. Fuck that. I want to go. Nobody tells me what to do when I go skateboarding. This is great. And there's a music that goes along with it. There's this whole new world of subculture and counterculture that's out there waiting for it. It was just so exciting. And ska really did capture that for me. And it wasn't too long after that I got into like traditional ska and stuff. But I've been talking too long, so I'll let the other two chime in.
Yeah. No, I mean my origin story of ska is pretty similar. I mean, yeah, around 96 or 97, I remember when the last 96 must have been when the Sublime self-titled album was out. I was really into it. I was just starting to like listen to stuff that wasn't on the radio. Actually, I remember being in like middle school, sixth grade, I want to say, and like a friend of mine like had Offspring Smash on cassette, and he was like, "Listen to this," and so I listened to it, and like my whole like brain just exploded. I was like, this is the fastest music I've ever listened to in my life. And this is so cool. And I've never heard anything like this on the radio. And I just started noticing that people like, when you see kids in school and you're like, man, that's so cool. They're so cool. And I'm so lame, like, and they were listening to those bands. And then, in high school, there were a lot of kids, those same sort of cool kids were always going to like the local shows we had an all ages venue in town, and like I would start to convince my parents like, oh, I'm just gonna go out with my friends to this venue downtown. And at that time there were a lot of ska punk bands and like local ska punk because it was really popping off at like 97 and 98. And I think I saw Goldfinger played at one of the movie theaters in my hometown, and you know what I mean? Like all of a sudden it's like I want everything to do with any of this type of music. So I was just like
Yes.
Bucko Nine, Less Than Jake, Real Big Fish, just and I just wanted more and more and more. And as I got kind of to the end, and I was in college by then, all of a sudden I was like, that was when I started getting into like more of the traditional Jamaican stuff, or even to like two-tone, specials and madness and stuff. And it's like that stuff started to sound really cool. And so I feel like I'm always just like trying to find the next thing, and it's leading me down this path. And that was when I met actually Aaron and Jordan. I was in ska punk bands. I met them in their ska punk band, and then just started going, either my bands were playing shows with them, or I would go to either Gilbot's shows or the Prizefighters before I was even in the band. I was a big fan of them, and yeah, it was kind of cool that they asked me to join in like 2011, and then I had long conversations with Aaron about, after shows, just he showed me, oh, have you listened to this? Have you checked out this? Oh, you got to check out this. It's like, and just talking about like how the ska was done in the 60s. And it was like, I just feel like I'm just constantly learning and learning and learning about this music. And I just can't get enough. It's cool. It's
Yes,
awesome.
it is.
Yeah. Mine, like I obviously like I just sort of by osmosis got a bunch of my training and knowledge from Aaron, but it was 311.
Yeah.
311,
Oh, hell
man.
yeah.
That was like my favorite band in elementary school, along with like Green Day and The Offspring. But yeah, man, all these dorks with their like, I listened to Less Than Jake and Real Big Fish up there. Like, no, man, who's got the herb? I'm in third grade. I don't know why they're singing about parsley and shit, but who's got it?
Who's got the herb?
I'm down. Yeah, and then but of course, I would eventually go on to more ska punk stuff, but it's kind of nice, like using Aaron as a filter for lots of the bands where he would be taking in more of the wider scope of things, and so what he would be listening to, I would catch, like for a while there, like we were sharing a bedroom. So what he was listening to, I was listening to. And yeah, and so that's like, so I sort of got ahead of the curve, and like, listening to like the Slackers and Hepcat pretty early on, around like 8th grade. But I still liked some of the wacky shit like Assorted Jelly Beans and like Authority Zero.
I was a big
I was
Authority
never too
Zero
cool for
fan
that.
too.
And of course Operation Ivy and all that. So yeah, but then as Aaron started getting more into the traditional stuff, I just sort of followed him along that path, and yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
So what is your favorite artist of the early Jamaican ska?
It's a really hard question to answer. It probably changes all the time, but
I'm in love with the Gay Lads right now.
Okay.
They're really good. I
I
mean,
was thinking like BB Seaton and the Gay Lads. Yeah, there's no
just
wrong answer.
smooth vocals, man. It just and it's so good.
I mean, my favorite single artist from the original ska era, I think I would have to say Lloyd Knibb. Just in terms of how foundational his drum playing was and how many recordings he was on. So I think that the sound of ska would not have been the same without him. And I just think, even though he's not an artist with like songs to his name, maybe I don't think there's one. It's just that because you hear him on everybody's record essentially. So it's and I'm a drummer too, and I love the ska drums. So I listen to the song for the drums. I'm not necessarily someone that goes towards favorites. It has like favorite things here and there, but if you want me to give the most honest answer, I gotta give it to my man Lloyd Knibb.
Okay, cool. Jordan?
And I mean, my daughter's name is Ellis, if that gives you a hint.
Okay.
And sorry, it's not Hortense. But I mean, and again, not to just like keep, following Aaron here, but in 10th grade, we drove to like the far end of Wisconsin for one of the like original Scoppleton shows, and the Scotlites were playing.
Ah.
So it was like 10th grade. So this would have been like 2003.
2003.
And seeing Lloyd Brevet up at the front of the stage just was like this mystical creature. Just this rail thin giant man who was wearing like a huge oversized FUBU football jersey with like this giant like weed chain around his neck, playing his electric upright bass, and just like, this is the coolest human being I've ever seen in my life. And so, yeah, that, I think that's what really set the hook in me. Like being at that age and being like, oh man, I'm going to go see the Toasters. This is great. And then like just leaving me like, oh my God, I'm going to model like everything I do after that guy.
Especially the weed medallion.
Yeah, I'll be wearing a different weed medallion every night of the tour.
Okay.
So
looking forward to that.
Come check it out. Follow
Go
us
back
on
to your
Instagram.
311 days.
No, there will be no weed chains. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Dang.
This was back when I saw them at UC Santa Cruz back in '92.
Oh, Tommy and Roland. Wow.
Wow.
That's
awesome.
so cool.
It had pretty much most of them. Sorry, my brother went to Kresge College in Santa Cruz there, so
There he is.
I went to see them.
Wow. Yeah, I would have loved to see them more in their, when they're prime, because I remember, I was aware of the Skylights pretty early on. There was a local radio show hosted by General Moses, aka Brad Klein, who's behind the Legends of Ska concert documentary. And he did such a great job with that show, just with the format and info and everything like that. A lot of good interviews with people like Derek Morgan and Harry Moody, and just incredible. So I learned so much from that. So I remember hearing when Tommy died and when Roland died. It was one in '97, one in '98. So I was aware of them and aware of the band and that they had passed away. But yeah, for anyone who was able to see them play with the Scotalites, you're very lucky to have seen that. That's
yes,
that's really cool. I'm glad you have those memories and some photos from that show.
Oh yeah, we also my buddy Luis from Steady Beat also booked them at BB King's in Universal City. So that was the time we actually got to all hang out with them and chill and drink with them, which was pretty cool. This was
Nice.
around that same time.
That'd
But
been
my
wild.
favorite roots would probably be Desmond Decker or the Scatolites. Those would probably be mine.
I would agree. Yes.
Right on.
Now, I think it's yours,
Yeah.
Daryl.
So leading into the Legends thing, you guys have played or recorded with a bunch of legends: Derek Morgan, Stranger and Patsy, Charlie Organaire, among others, which I didn't all write down because there's a few more. Tell us about playing with these legends, working with them. How amazing is that to be part, to share their love of music and just want to be involved with something, the music that you guys play.
Yeah, that's why we had 9 years between studio album releases.
Yeah. We were busy being the busiest backing band in the Midwest.
That's awesome.
Oh man.
Nice.
But that was such that was the right thing for us to do at that time, because man, we learned so much by diving into the back catalog of Stranger Cole and Roy and Yvonne and Charlie's stuff. It's just like you by playing it, by listening to it, by kind of digesting it, you all of a sudden you go, oh, like this is what this music is. These are the techniques. These are the things that they did. This is how they recorded it. This is how they arranged it. It's like we learned. We really leveled up as a band and got closer as a band by doing all those shows with those foundation artists.
Yeah, I mean, especially with ska, it's the early ska that is more of the like 12 bar blues, R&B sort of arrangements. A lot of those songs, the chord progression is pretty similar, but the the records sound distinct from one another, even though it's using a lot of similar 12 bar blues lines. So the the challenge that I saw before us was, how do we actually play these handful of ska songs that all sound pretty similar, but have them sound like the actual record rather than just cookie cutter, like playing like, oh, ska is just one way. We have the one way of playing ska. So thinking about like, well, this song was recorded at Treasure Isle, well, recorded for Treasure Isle with Baba Brooks Band. So that's Drumbago on drums, and he has a different style and sound than Lloyd Knibb from the Scatolites would. So how do you actually get that sound and play that right? Because you want to have the song sound like sound like the record. That's I mean that's my approach to it. It was like, I want to hear it sound exactly like the record, and I think that's because I saw bands in LA do that, backing up vintage Jamaican artists and just being blown away by how good it sounded and how well they nailed the original music. So we've had played a lot of this style, by that point, but I mean, particularly like Rocksteady, we take a lot of care into like having a song be, if it's a Rocksteady song, we want it to be Rocksteady rather than like, don't get into reggae territory, which is very easy to do. Just like, some extra hi-hats and it sounds like a reggae song, or like there's organ in it doing like rhythm stuff. Well, that's kind of reggae. I mean, like Rocksteady is a very unique genre and very unique sound with different, I don't want to say rules attached to it, but there was things that were done and there's things that weren't done, and there was things that were done later under the reggae umbrella. And it's just, so if you're really trying to make play a song live with the artist that originally recorded that, there's a certain reverence to playing the song as close to the original as possible. At least in my mind, that was important. But I also knew that would be fun to try to, because that's always been the goal of the band, just like recreate the artistry, the vibe, because there's so much to be learned and there's so much territory to cover there. And so that was a really satisfying part of it, to work really hard on it and then present the songs like when we have like the one rehearsal like the day before or like a couple hours before we do the performance, to come really prepared and have the artist feel like, oh wow, like this sounds like the record, this band has done their research and they're good at it. So we had to work really hard to get to that point. But Chuck Wren from Jump Up was doing these shows in Chicago, started doing a series of shows called Jamaican Oldies productions, and we played the first one backing up Stranger Cole, and that was like, yeah, let's do this. Like, I think we can do it. We can study all the songs, and that's a good way to flex our muscle and really, but work at that. So we would spend 3 months on average going through songs and talking to others, like what do you, I remember being on the phone with Stranger back in the days when it was still expensive to make a call to Jamaica. You had to long distance and everything, and talk to him, and he told me the songs that he wanted to do, and I kind of was like writing down, and we just chatted about like suggestions, like, yeah, this and that. Okay, cool, I want to do this one. Yeah. So we had a big list of things to do. So it was like, okay, well, here's the homework. And I think that's so great, because it's it's easy to, you can play a Scatolite song great. But if that's cemented as the only like kind of ska that you play, then if you go to play a song that is like that, you want it to sound like a Baba Brooks Band or like Byron Lee and the Dragonaires, it's not going to translate unless you listen to that original recording and learn, like, well, what are they actually doing? What's going on here? You learn so much more, and then you see the inner mechanics of it. You get to understand, like, oh, this is a lot of Cuban music in this song. Like, that's really interesting,
Mhm.
and which, not surprising, because there's a lot of Cuban lineage and history within the Scottolites and Jamaican artists in general. And then you have the you have that thread that comes off. You keep digging, and you get into more music, and you really learn, learning more about Jamaica, and, like, well, why were all these influences there? What actually created this sound? What were all these things that made ska what it is, or rocksteady or reggae? And it sends you on all these paths of, like, well, shit, I need to look into all these other old artists, like these old Cuban artists and Puerto Rican artists, and just going down that rabbit hole. I mean, that's the ska is the gift that keeps on giving. Like, talked about getting into Operation Ivy and Less Than Jake, and like, Scottolites, musically are so different from each other. Like, it's weird to think of them both as ska, but ultimately, ska has existed in Jamaica. That's always been my working definition of the term, and nothing against the more modern bands that have used it, or especially in the 90s. Like, it was whatever. That's a whole other conversation. But it's really cool to have that opportunity, like, all the work that we've done as a band, to be able to get to the point to be asked to if we would be interested in backing up Stranger Cole, and then see, well, okay, can we do it? Let's try our hardest. Let's work really hard on this, and not working on touring or writing new songs or recording a new album or anything like that. We're focused on this, because this is like the pinnacle of how I wanted to uh, participate in ska, that living legacy of the 60s in Jamaica, and working with the artists that created it. Like, I can imagine no greater honor or greater gift or
Yeah.
lesson for how to do it. And it's nice to do it and have have the artists think, like, yeah, you did it right, you did it well. And yeah, I don't know, I love the fact that we've been able to do it once, but also get asked again to work with other artists. So
Well,
yeah, that's just
even getting to know them too. I mean, so when we did the recording stuff with Charlie, and then we also did a European tour with him, so we got to really spend a lot of time with him, learning all these. I mean, he's got stories for days and days and days, and it's like, so not only are we like learning about the music, but it's like he's telling you how it was, in those recording sessions, and he remembers all the details of what happened, back in the early 60s. And I mean, that trip was crazy. It was so fun to just sit next to him in the van and just listen to him just keep, spin yarn after yarn.
That is pretty awesome. Yeah, we're kind of spoiled here in LA because we have we get all the reggae legends. It's basically it's
Mhm.
Eric and Junior from History of LA Ska that basically bring in all the legends. Everyone's been here. We've had Desmond Decker, we've had Derek Morgan, we've had Laurel Aiken, we've had Stranger Cole, and then we saw Stranger Cole at Supernova a couple years back too. But we always
yeah.
have the
So
bands. We always have it's either Agrolites are backing somebody or the Steady 45s, or I think the Legions do sometimes. So we always have that. So we're kind of spoiled here with all the rock steady reggae. And then the bands that we have, Mobtown, Hepcat, all these other bands, Allentons, those ones, all are within that traditional ska that just pay homage to the original,
Mhm.
Scatolites and that island music, which is awesome. So we're kind of spoiled, and but it's
For
awesome.
sure.
You guys got that experience with these guys too.
yeah, well, those groups were a huge influence for me. Not just like them as a band and them musically, but they really showed that it was possible to play ska and to go for the Jamaican sound. I mean, there's bands all over the world that were doing that, but yeah, the first concert that I saw in LA was that big one in 2006 with it was like three different local artist supergroups. I forget exactly who it was, but yeah, Derek Morgan, Pat Kelly, Dennis Al Capone,
Mhm.
Alton Ellis, and Owen Gray. Just like
Jeez.
Damn.
only in LA or perhaps like London or something like that, or New York. But it's just just incredible. But all the bands did. I tell the story a lot, but it really resonates with me. Like walking into the theater when the before the bands were playing, but it's like there's a DJ playing. It's like hell yeah, they're playing you're playing old records and getting the mood going. And I walk in, it was a band playing on stage. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Playing that music and it sounds that good. Like I thought it was the record. Just the rest of the show just absolutely phenomenal. The band's killer because I could tell they put that much effort and work into it, and I really appreciated that. And it made for such a great show. And bands like Hepcat that have been proselytizing the good news of original Jamaican ska and how fun that can be, and how slower not rock and roll based music can still have as much energy or more energy for me. I could listen to Minor Threat or Conflict and get filled up with a lot of like the aggressive energy, but man, put on a good ska song and that's keep me from dancing to that. It just fills me up with that kind of energy. So it's amazing the journey that ska has taken us all on. Like I just turned 41. I'm still just it's driven so many of the avenues of my life. Like my partner is also a massive ska fan, and so we get to share that, and we talk about music all the time and play music together all the time, and it's cool. And I know there's a lot of other people out there who are lifelong ska heads, and it's great. And I know you two are like that, and I know there's other people out there, and it's good to be like I'm excited to be going on tour this summer and trying to play new places and play for people, and
Yes.
kind of I don't know if we're gonna have that same impact, but I really hope we are, because it's amazing that some of those bands are still playing, but they could have disbanded a long time ago. I mean, a lot of them did. I want there to be that representation for like the original Jamaican ska, like as much as possible. And we've really worked really hard to be a band that can fill that space. So that's my wish, that other people kind of appreciate what we're doing in the same way that I appreciated the giants whose shoulders we're standing on.
Mhm.
Cool. So let's see. Was my question now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So what did your first practice look like, and how often do you guys practice?
And so, I mean,
Go for that, Jordan.
those first, I mean, I think Aaron sort of did a good job talking about those early, just sort of basement jams with a drummer that wasn't a ska person, much less a traditional ska person, an organ player who didn't know how to play organ, and just but that the collective passion and drive to engage with that music was always there. So I was ragtag, and I don't know, we've been pretty solidly just like a once a week band for the past 19 years.
Wow.
Right.
Give or take. So yeah, we
practices.
don't have like a huge like, we're not like super hardcore about our rehearsals. And like you read off the albums that we've done so far, and there's some gaps in there. We're not the fastest moving band, but we take our practice time to work on a lot of just random, maybe not random stuff, but just like trying to explore new ideas. We end up doing like a lot of arrangements of old songs. We've got a few of those that have popped up on the LPs. That's kind of how like the new 45 came together as well. It's also, we've never had to pay for a rehearsal space. Someone's always in the basement, so that's been super tight. 20 years, no practice rent.
Nice.
Gotta love a good Midwest basement.
Yep.
But we're all friends too. Like we've all bonded over so many things over the years. And sometimes rehearsals, it's just a good social time too. We play music. We shoot the shit. We talk about everything that's going on. So there's that. The musical chemistry is also accompanied by the friendship chemistry that we got going. So
cool.
Now let's talk about your upcoming West Coast tour. I've seen some of the dates. So you guys got some pretty kick-ass shows there. Tell us about when the tour starts, what cities you're going to be playing in. I know you guys are going to be here in LA and Long Beach for a couple shows. You guys are playing with some great bands too. You guys are playing with the Bishops. You guys are playing with Bocat out in Arizona. Playing with Jackie Mendez. You guys are playing out in Palm. Who are you guys playing with in Palm Desert?
Warsaw, Poland Brothers.
Oh, Warsaw, nice.
With the Poland Brothers, yeah. And then you guys are going to play with, was it Los Mal Hablados in Portland?
Yep. And
awesome.
With Mephistopheles.
Yeah, we know those. We know all those guys. And then Seattle, are you guys going to be playing up there in with Georgetown Orbits or anybody?
No, that's another leg of Los Mal Hablados and Mephistopheles. So the last two shows of the tour are the same package there.
Nice.
Tell us about when this starts and where you guys going to be.
Sure. We're starting it off July 5th in St. Louis, Missouri.
With the Bishops.
With the Bishops. We go back with them 15-ish years. So it's always fun to connect with them. And then from there, we're going over to Lawrence, Kansas, working with Sean Spinelli, who puts on the Topeka Sunshine Reggae Festival. We played that last year. And so it was a great time. He's a great host, great DJ. So definitely wanted to connect with him again. And then you got to make your way down to California. So Denver, working with Tara from Rude Girl Review on that one. We had mutual interest in getting the band out there. And then the most logical stop after that, Durango. We're going to be playing at Ska Brewing. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
And then so that's on Wednesday the 9th. Thursday the 10th, that's when we're in Tempe with Bocat. And then I'm really excited for that Friday night. That's in San Diego with Smoke and Mirrors Sound System. One of the coolest bands going today.
The venue that you guys are playing over there too, I think it's Lulu's, right? Are you guys playing?
Yeah, it looks
insane. It looks so rad.
Cool looking venue.
Yeah. I'm super pumped for that. And again, just Smoke and Mirrors, the stuff that John and co are putting out right now is some next level stuff. And then it's the 12th when we're up in Los Angeles for the big Jackie Mendez Capsule 45s.
Blanco y Negro.
Yeah.
Blanco Negro, yes.
That's just like
they are awesome.
We are so excited
bringing
for
the sound system,
show.
so there's going to be 5 or 6 DJs on the Rygen sound system, so that's going to be pretty sick. I've been wanting to hear that stack of speakers for a long time. Pretty stoked about that.
Yeah, and that was the first one. That was the first show we booked. Because that's the goal and the dream was like getting just a boss show out in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And so just really, really pumped for that one. And then the next day we're doing the Sunday social down at Alex's Bar in Long Beach, which looks like a great time. Kreese told me that that's where they filmed the like final scene of Tenacious D's Pick of Destiny, where they fight the devil.
Oh, is that what it is?
So like I could like quote that movie front to back still. I haven't seen it in like 10 years, but probably could. Yeah. And then then the next day we're going out to the desert. Playing on the patio of a Mexican restaurant. I looked up the forecast today. It's supposed to be like 111 degrees.
Oh,
All right.
hopefully in the shade.
To
Yeah.
to my bandmates, I am sorry. Was not intending this to happen.
And did Chris put that together? Poland?
Yeah. And then for that we're headed up to Modesto to play with the Racers.
With Mida.
Set that up with Mida, and then it's Portland and Seattle.
Yeah.
So
and you had played with the Bracers.
Yeah.
And, big up the Bracers.
Yeah. We got that. We're interviewing them tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Tell them we
you mentioned that we're playing with lots of big bands, and that was like the best part of booking this tour. I did the booking for it, and it's just being at the point where we are to be able to just reach out to friends and bands across the country and places you want to go, and just be like, hey, we're thinking of coming out this summer. You guys want to set up something together? And just the enthusiastic of like, absolutely, let's make this happen. Let's put together the biggest banger of a show we can, even if it's on like a Tuesday night.
And then you ask, and then we need a place to sleep too.
we're old enough that we're good with cramming into hotel beds. I don't think our backs can handle floors too much longer.
Oh God!
Aaron and I are over 40, man. We're getting up there.
We've and Matt too. We've given up the delusion of turning a profit on tour. So if it's like, well, we could we could come away with profit, or hear me out, we could sleep in like beds, like in a hotel instead of floors. There's only so many times you can do that.
We're staying at a few people's houses still.
It's just merch.
For sure. It'd be great.
We still have some punk cred.
Yeah. But man, okay, so Jordan was talking about that Scopelton that we went to 2003.
Mm-hmm.
We slept like 11 or 12 people in a single hotel room that night.
Oh, damn.
It's fine when you're 18. When when you're in your 40s, it's it's good. It's good to have the option. I'll just say
there's more smells at that age.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
so,
I think it's you.
It's very good. Okay, so tell us about the writing process that goes into your writing your songs.
I can speak to that because I write probably the majority of the songs. I'm not the only songwriter in the band, but I do have a pretty idiosyncratic writing process, I guess. I mean, because I love the original Jamaican stuff, I listen to it all the time, and I get songs stuck in my head, but sometimes I get songs stuck in my head that don't exist. And that's basically how a song starts. Like I'll hear a hook in my head and I want to hear the rest of the song. So I try to figure it out. So I kind of work backwards from there.
That's cool.
And it's, the lyrics are usually the hardest part. I usually end with the lyrics because I know how the vocals are supposed to sound, and I have the melody and the cadence and rhythm and everything like that. So I try to retroactively fit the lyrics in there, which is sometimes tough. I mean, especially because I try to write poignant lyrics, or that's kind of the hang up I have is songwriting. I'm always trying to like grow as a songwriter and try to write more goofy, not goofy things, but have fun with it, or have not write politics or serious stuff. I mean, I wrote a lot of punk rock songs in my younger days, and I still have that lyrical content, and just like the songwriting kind of that's still very much in me, even though we're not playing punk rock songs. But it's and that's why I'm very particular about like how a song goes. Like, oh, this is a Rocksteady song, it can't deviate from the particular arrangement that I hear in my head, because it's that sort of the song. Like the finished there's a certain polished crispness that's always like sticking in my head. Like, you hear a song for the first time somewhere, and then you get that feel for it before you know what the words are and remember exactly how it goes, but you kind of get it. It enters your feet sometimes before it enters your ears, and you start to dance to it, move to it. So that's always an element that I feel is super important, and I want to keep that feel through it. And then, the songwriting that I do is very similar to 60s style songwriting, not specifically Jamaican style songwriting, but keeping the songs short, keeping the songs in a melodic model or whatever. I'm not a music theory guy, so I can't really speak in smart sounding music terminology. But like there's a certain chord progressions. Like I was talking about, the 12-bar blues chord progressions were super common, like 50s and early 60s and Jamaican ska. We don't do a lot of stuff like that, but we do some of it, and it's like there's so many more modern things that have changed in music since the 60s and 70s that you could do so much more stuff, but we do keep it pretty simple so that it stays really melodic and upbeat, and try not to deviate too much from the framework of the music we're inspired by, but pushing the limits and pushing boundaries in different ways, and trying new things, and trying to do like I said, taking the lessons that we learned from working with artists like Charlie and Stranger to think about, I want this song to sound a little bit different from anything that we've done before. And maybe most people listening to it wouldn't think that it's very different, but we deliberately made it a particular way. So that's kind of I consider that part of the songwriting. And I also considered like the recording, the production, part of that too, like mixing everything in mono, live tracking as much as possible, so we all get the rhythmic feel of it, and do it kind of similarly to how music was recorded in the 60s. So it's a whole process of like farm to table, of getting the little nugget of inspiration at first, and then building out. And I have songs that I've been working on for 10 years that I still haven't finished yet, because I don't have the right lyrics for it, or it's just sometimes I have a song written for growing for like 10 years, kind of half written, and then I get another song and I'm like, oh, I'm going to actually take these bits and pieces that I was saving for this particular song. They work a lot better here. So it's always sort of a moving stew pot boiling with inspiration. And so Jordan alluded to, sometimes it does take a while for working on new music, and that's largely me, but Jordan writes songs too. Jordan, you want to talk about your songwriting process?
No. No.
All I can say though is whether it's Jordan or Aaron, like I just put my trust and faith in them, because no matter what like they bring to the table, and like even if I don't understand it right away, it's like I know this is going to be good eventually. And if it's not meant to, if it's not meant to be, then it won't be. But then that is that long drawn out process. That's why we move so slow sometimes. But it's like I can be patient, because I know it. Like y'all both have like just beautiful creative brains, and I'll wherever you go, I'm following. So.
Well, thank you, and you follow it very well. I mean, Courtney's got a great ear, and I can just, because like I don't write music, I can't do it. I would like to learn, but in the meantime, I just sing something. I'm like, hey, Courtney, this song goes like this line goes like ba 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 ba, and he's got it like right away. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. That's we can move on. We can. We got some gas to cook with, and the songs come together really well. I usually wait a while to have the song like pretty fully crafted before bringing it to the band. But we've been trying different things. Like if I have like, I have a structure for a song, but I don't really have much else. I don't have words for it, and then you teach it to the band, and then it's like, oh, this is great, cool. Well, now you just have to write the words. Uh,
5 years later.
okay. Which is why I like to bring completely finished or mostly finished songs to rehearsal. But Jordan, you're a lyricist too. You could solve that puzzle. You could thread that needle and fill in those lyrics.
Good. It could.
Man, that's a good.
Someday I just might.
That's good things for the road. We're gonna be spending a lot of time in a van together, driving all around, cranking that AC, staying hydrated, and all that stuff. So I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to talk about lyrics and songwriting, and yeah, it'll be very topical because we'll be around each other all the time.
Now, for sake of time, because I know you guys got to go. Normally we talk about Chuck Rand and how awesome he is with Jump Up Records, but everybody knows that.
Yeah.
So I know there's not much of a ska scene out there where you guys live in Minneapolis. The only local band that I really know of is Los Malos Pasos.
Yeah.
You guys play with them?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we've played with them as that band yet. But yeah, Gil in that band played keys with us for a couple of years. He was on the Firewalk album, and they were, a lot of those dudes were in a band called Rocksteady Breakfast.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, so they've kind of morphed into that group. It was like Rocksteady Breakfast kind of, they were partly playing, but then they started like a Bad Manners cover band, and then they were like, well, let's do this, but instead of playing Bad Manners covers, we're gonna do like ska and cumbia stuff. And,
nice.
kind of morphed into that. So yeah, pretty rad. But yeah, we haven't had a chance to play with it. Yeah, it's cool to hear that. Yeah, cumbia is another form of music that I think ska led me to, very roundabout kind of way. But the kind of cumbia I heard first was like early, like 40s stuff, like early. I'm forgetting the clarinetist from Colombia. What's Lucho Bermudez, I think, and just like just amazing stuff, and it's incredible listening to some of those early cumbia songs and be like, this sounds a lot like rocksteady or reggae, or it's like this is pretty rad. But it's that Afro-Cuban musical diaspora and how it presents itself. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty rad that Los Malos Pasos is doing that in town. But we've had a stronger scene at certain points. With more bands playing, like the Drop Steppers were active for a while, and that was a lot of fun to play shows with them because they were, playing the like early reggae kind of stuff, and it was the singer from that band went on to do the Junior Thomas stuff with like the Venditions in Boston, like some of the Void Union, Westbound Trend dudes, and then just the Volcanoes with a lot of the Angel City's finest. But yeah, we've seen a lot of bands come and go. We do have a lot of bands that are currently playing, like Space Monkey Mafia is a ska punk band that just got signed to Jump Up, talking about Chuck Wren. So they're going to be on the same label as us. So we're pretty stoked for them. Like Runaway Ricochet has been doing cool stuff. Lost Island Society, Cut Rate Clones, we did a show with them recently. Umbrella Bed is still playing. That's a band I played in for a number of years. They've been around since like 95.
That's funny that you mentioned Umbrella Bed, because they were, who was it that we interviewed that they were doing? Someone was bringing them to, they were bringing somebody from Europe over here, and they were going over to Europe. Who was it? No Sports? I think it was.
I want to say No Sports, but I'm not sure.
No Sports.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that we were talking to. They were exchanging ideas about coming over. I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's cool.
Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, because Umbrella Bed had records out on Mad Butcher Records in Germany. So we did 2 tours of Europe with Umbrella Bed when I was playing guitar with them, and pretty rad label. Mike is a good dude running that label.
Yeah.
doing all the like anti-fascist, anti-Nazi shit in Europe, which is awesome. So learned so much about that was how I learned about Antifa for the first time was from the cool ass German punks and Rudies that got to meet in Europe.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that German scene. It's my favorite.
Oh yeah, it's so big and just and every little town has its own, fans and pockets of stuff. So you can really, you can find it everywhere. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about the new cover song that you have out? I believe Live Forever.
Yeah.
Whose idea was it?
What's that?
Whose idea was it to cover this song?
It's probably the brothers, Aaron and Jordan, because like the
yeah, it makes sense. Keep that feud stuff going. No, I had the idea for the cover, and I actually did a multi-track demo of it and shared it with the band, and they were up for trying it, which is funny. Yeah, I mean, who knows if it would have turned into anything, but yeah. Speaking of Chuck Wren, again, we were talking with him about doing a 45 of some sort, maybe our own music or something like that. But he wanted to do covers 45s because, like you said, like covers 45 sell and like Christmas 45 sell. Yeah. So anyone out there listening who likes buying 45s, you should buy as many 45s of bands' original music as you can to balance the scales a little bit. But yeah, the Oasis cover seemed like that would work out. It was at a time where we were able to record it and we're able to get it on 45, which hopefully should be out soon. So not a song that I would have expected us to cover, because we've typically done things that are older that are contemporaneous with the style that we're playing. Like I was mentioning, we're very particular about the chord progressions and everything, but Live Forever is a great song, and the chord progression lends itself really well to reggae. I mean, that could have been a chord progression you would have heard in 1968 and it wouldn't have sounded out of place. And so we I think we did it justice. We haven't heard from Noel yet if he's gonna give us trouble.
Yeah, I saw it on social media that he said that he doesn't want it to be a reggae song or something. Yeah, duly noted. But I think it makes a pretty good reggae song. So if he hears it and he has beef with this, I mean, I hope that he beefs with us directly instead of having his lawyer beef with us. Yeah,
but, we paid the royalty fee, right, Courtney?
Yes.
Right? He's like, right?
All right, cool. On the level.
All right. A couple last questions. Where can you find your music, both digital and physical?
Oh, good question. You can either go to the prizefighters.net, that's our website, theprizefighters.net, or you can check us out on Bandcamp. We sell digitally. You can download from there, but also we have all of our merch there too. Otherwise, if you're, whatever your streaming platform you use, I don't know, there's so many out there, but we're on all of them.
Awesome. And any last words for your fans out there and our viewers of the channel?
Well, I would say thank you for supporting Scott. Thanks for supporting the podcast. Thank you for giving us a chance to tell you about the Prize Fighters. If you haven't heard of us before, please check us out. If you have heard of us and you dig us, then thanks for listening. And if you're going to be in one of the towns that we're going to be traveling through this summer, please come through. We would love to see you. We'd love to chat with you. Stop by the merch booth, say what's up. Dance, just have a good time. That's what we're doing this thing for. Is just to spread the joy in a world that needs it more than ever.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, guys. We want to thank you for everything. Thanks for keeping it real. Thanks for the music. We will see you in LA.
Hell yeah.
Here. I want to thank you for everything. Have a safe trip. Okay, and have fun on those shows.
Thanks so much.
We're gonna roast. We're gonna roast in the van, but we're gonna make the best of it. We're gonna love it. And by the time by the time we get to LA to see you cats, we'll be hopefully nice and seasoned, and the heat won't be draining us as much anymore. So
Yeah, we'll try to come early and have Jose help you load in.
Perfect.
oh, thanks, Jose. I
you're
appreciate
welcome.
Your co-host volunteering for that. That's
Yeah.
pretty rad.
No problem.
I love it.
That's why I'm here.
All right, you guys, take
All right,
care.
take care, guys.
Hey, thanks so much for having
Bye.
us, guys. Take it
Yeah.
easy. Peace.
Hello, Skankers. Jose here, aka Skanking Force. Would you like to win a free Ska Box? It's as easy as following Ska Box Rocks and Sniff Dog Records on Instagram and Facebook. And subscribe to Ska History Hour on YouTube and comment Ska Box Rocks in any video to enter. Good luck!